Episode 149. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We got Rook Exodus, number 5. We got Minor Arcana, number 1. And we have Conan, Battle of the Blackstone. Let's talk about them right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. Yep, working on a reality show right now, so I'm going to have to stick this in. I don't know how long it's going to take before I can actually get this to edit. But I'm also a board game designer, and we are going to launch in October. Me and Mark Spears are working on Mythlord's classic Monsters card game. Everything you need is in the box. Takes about 10 minutes to learn how to play. Easy breezy, and you're going to love the artwork. Check out the link in the description below, and it'll give you a link to Kickstarter to sign up to get notified about when we launch for Halloween. We could probably launch about October 1st, so we're looking at about 3 weeks now. All right, so on top of that, remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can, and if you can't subscribe, please do. It is free. But let's jump into Rook Exodus. You're probably wondering about my face. I dropped my my razor and it broke, and it was easier for me to buy everything on Amazon with the things and everything else. So I'm waiting for it to come in. It's like 2 days, and I'm like, my hair grows really fast and everywhere but on my head. Anyway, Rook Exodus is by Jeff Johns. This is Ghost Machine Publishing is one that does this. They're doing a bunch of titles. And this is a very interesting concept. Everybody keeps saying that they should make action figures out of these because the helmets are so cool. But it's about a planet. I guess everybody left, or a bunch of people left, rich people and people that worked for rich people, left Earth to recolonize a different planet, but they had a world-building engine on it. So they were, making the topography and making the air breathable and all that stuff. So it broke. All the rich people left, leaving all the workers behind. And they have these things called wardens. And wardens controls different types of animals. So Rook is controlling crows, then you have Direwolf that's controlling wolves, and then you had, it was another guy, the villain, is controlling bears, but he stole somebody else's helmet, so he's not really the one giving it, and he's trying to steal everybody's. But again, the planet is breaking down and destroying itself, so I don't know what's going on there. He's just trying to control a dying planet, I guess. But the villain ended up killing Rook's friend, who was controlling the warthogs, and his main warthog is named Pumbaa. So anyway, that's where we start, is with this battle taking place. I forgot the guy's name, who's Unger or something to that effect. The one controlling the bears is kind of winning, and Rook had to escape. So he ended up falling off a cliff into a waterfall, and Pumbaa there is now pushing him awake. And the whole thing is about fight or flight. Are because he had built a ship to get off the planet. So the warthog continually tells him, "Oh, you're really gonna go and fly away because you're a pussy." Pretty much that's what he's saying. And he's like, "Oh, I can't believe I can hear you. You don't talk. Why are you talking to me?" Because they really don't talk through the things. You just control the helmet you can't hear them speak. But for some reason, he's feeding thoughts into his mind. So not a whole lot happens in this issue, but we do get a little bit of action. So he's like, "Oh my God, the whole forest is burning down. All the animals are running, and I can't control my birds, and the birds won't listen to me, and blah, blah, blah." He can't connect, literally and figuratively. So he gets to, a flashback of his dad's farm, and he's like, "No, my dad didn't burn." Oh, this was kind of cool, where the birds attach him to like a scarecrow type of cross. So he's like almost like crucified without the nails. But then he gets a flashback again, as he said, of his father, where it shows the father burning down the farm. And he's like, no, that's not how it happened. My father was trying to free all the animals. And he's like, well, you could be like your father, or, you can run away. And he says, well, you got to get out of this thing. So they run out, and he's like, why can't I connect to the birds? The birds or whatever and are just fighting me. And Pumbaa's like, no, you're fighting them. You're not opening up to them, and your mistrust of them is getting pushed back on you, so they don't trust you. So if you're going to control the birds, then they need to trust you, which means you need to open yourself to them. And he says, okay, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try. Meanwhile, the whole thing is burning, and they're on the cliff, almost pushed to the edge of the cliff. And again, we get the flashback of his farm with his father, which I guess, traumatized him to a certain degree. I think his father died in that fire. I'm not sure. But anyway, so it keeps going back and forth. And, kind of realizing that this is all in his head to begin with. This is not real. But he says, oh, you have to take the leap of faith. And he jumps off, and the birds come to him. And then he gets this feedback in his mind. I mean, the artwork is through the roof in this thing. It's really good. He's like, I'm going to fight. And I'm going to save all the animals like my dad did. And that's the end of that. So, good stuff. Again, and then we get this thing where, it's Ursaw is the name of the villain with the bears. And he's like, I guess they're going to fight. We're going to see what happens. So, yeah, good stuff, man. Will this make a good movie? Absolutely. This would make an amazing movie. Like I said, people are already asking for, action figures. So, yeah, this would make a really good... I don't know where the end is coming here. I don't know. Of course, they'd have to condense it because we're on 5 already, and it just keeps going and going, and not a whole lot's happening at this point. But, yes, they can condense it very easily, I would think, into a one movie or multiple, but you wouldn't know if this would work or not, so they couldn't do a trilogy right off the bat. It had to be like Star Wars, where it had a beginning, middle, and an end, and then they could continue it if they wanted to. All right, so let's jump into Conan, Battle of the Blackstone. So the Blackstone thing was set up in the previous Conan issues, where he was being controlled and ended up going to Atlantis, and I don't know, it was all in his head, I guess, or he was teleported there and teleported back because he was teleported back in time. But anyway, it was controlling him to go get the sword or whatever, so the Blackstone has certain powers over people. But this is like creating like the Avengers situation, where this is all an introduction issue to the other characters that are going to be part of this, and they're all throughout time. So, of course, Conan is in the past, and then we get these two guys going to the secret society where they meet El Borak, which is, I think, Frank Gordon. So anyway, they get to this exclusive club, they meet this guy, and he's drunk already, and they show him the symbol of what they found, and he's like, you don't want to be anything near that. You don't want anything to do with that symbol. Then we switch back to Conan. He's involved with these people, and I guess they're making fun of him or whatever else, and they're like, we could take this guy. He's all talk, even though he doesn't talk at all, but he's all talk, and he's not as strong as everybody thinks he is. So instead, he ends up seeing that symbol in his head, and I guess it creates rage from him. So he beats the crap out of the guy and then leaves, but then he gets this calling. So he leaves the village unnoticed. But we jump to another character who is a writer. And then we jump to another character. You can see the dates up top, 1936, and then 1522. And this is a female swordsman from France. So it's jumping all over time, all over space. 1584 in the jungles, and that is Solomon Kane. I'm a big fan of Solomon Kane. I love the movie, too, if you've never seen the movie. It's all over the place. It's easy to find. But then we go back to these guys here in the club, and there is a piece of the Blackstone in the club, and it's under a glass. But again, they're all feeling the whatever effects of the Blackstone, and the thing starts vibrating in the glass. But no matter where they are in time, they're feeling it. And that's the Frank Elborak, which is also created by the same guy who created Conan, E. Howard or whatever. And now you get Conan, and he gets to this cavern, something to that effect, with the Blackstone mark on it. And there's like an army that is guarding it, and he just goes in and starts fighting them. And he's cutting off heads and all this, But anyway, there's no way he can win, but he's just causing enough damage, I guess, to get the thing's attention, I guess. He gets hit a little bit, but he gets hit by something, of course, that's not sharp. If he got hit by something sharp in the head there, he'd be done. But I guess the thing ends up speaking to him with this apparition. And like I said, all of them are feeling it throughout time and space. And so they're creating like a little Avengers situation where they're all going to be combined. So, will it make a good film or television show? I don't know. I don't. This is purely a setup issue. It's only 4 issues as far as I know. So I don't know. It's I don't know how much of a story they can tell in 4 issues, because the first issue is purely setup. I don't know. So I'm going to have to reserve on that to see what the story actually is. It's some kind of a battle of the things, so you would think something a little bit more epic. But I guess we'll find out. All right, let's jump into Jeff Lemire's Minor Arcana. The paper this is on is pretty good. I am not a fan of Jeff Lemire's artwork. I think he should have had another artist doing his writing, or another artist that's drawing his script, because it makes the characters look all sullen and gaunt, where I can't even relate to these characters because it looks like stick figures. So it's, I don't know, and there's like no life to these characters. They look like they're dead. I'm already not liking this. And then the storyline doesn't really go anywhere at this point. Again, this is a setup issue. So I don't know how long I'm going to read this. But you start out with, I guess she's having some kind of a vision, but she's on a bus going home to take care of her mother, and her mother owns a psychic store. But I guess we're not really told what her issue is, but we assume it's cancer, and I'll tell you why in a second. But anyway, she's going to go into the psychic shop. Like here, as I said, she was on the bus. She gets off, and she's trailing her suitcase. But she goes to walk into the psychic shop, and then she turns around and goes into the other shop instead to get a cup of coffee, I guess, to get the nerve up to talk to her mom, I guess, whatever. But she ends up running into somebody that she knows or knows her. And she's like, oh my God, we went to school together. And she's like, yeah, whatever, keep the coffee, I'm out. You know, she's like, I remember you too. But look at the artwork. It's so poor. I mean, this is how I draw. And I don't draw. So anyway, there's the psychic shop. And that's about the most color you're going to see in this is in this shop. Yeah, I guess they can only color with purple and red. But anyway, there's her mom with this really shaggy hair, and we'll get into that in just a second. And of course, they're fighting because they don't get along. And she's like, look, I'm glad you came. And she's like, yeah, I had to give up stuff to come here. She's like, what stuff? Just got fired from your job. You're a loser. Blah, blah, blah. You know, normal daughter-mom stuff, I guess. But anyway, that's it. They're just going back and forth and insulting one another. And she's like, screw this. I'm out of here. And I guess she's just walking around. Whatever. She's walking around town, seeing everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes home and see that the mother's wig is on the ground. That's why I think it's cancer. But I wish he just came out and told us, that she has a certain amount of time to live or whatever, and she wants her to take over the family business, and she's like, I really don't do that. So yeah, so she's all thinking, and she gets a knock on the door, and it ends up being this woman that wants her. That's the guy she got her jacket from, whatever. So anyway, this woman's at the door. She wants her tarot cards read, like right now in the middle of the night. And she's like, I'll pay double. I don't know what the emergency was. I don't know why it's emergency tarot reading. Call 911. Emergency tarot reading. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, yeah, she sits down. She says, well, I've seen my mom do this a million times. So let's do this. And that's it. I mean, we get this thing where she goes into the cards almost, and the cards that she sees the tower, and the tower means something bad. Something bad's going to happen. I read tarot cards myself. So, and then she, like I said, goes into the cards, where the cards then deposit her on the beach. There's a tower, and there's the motel. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of imagery that I don't get. As far as I'm concerned, it's a waste of pages. And then she goes into this thing, and we see the death card. And that's the end. So, first of all, if anybody, I know you people watch TV, and the tarot card comes down, and it's death. It means somebody's going to die. That, in tarot readings, death does not mean literal death. It means that there is going to be a change of life. It's going to be a death of a portion of your life and a starting of something new. So it's an ending and a beginning. So it's not actually a bad thing. The death card is actually a positive thing, because if you think that you're on the wrong path, having the death to that path is actually a good thing. But is this going to make a good movie or tell? I have no idea. I have no idea what this is even about. I mean, all I know is it's a girl taking over the psychic shop, and she thinks it's all bullshit, but obviously there's something to it, because she ends up going into the cards, into a beach. I wish there was a little more story here. So the artwork is poor, and the story goes nowhere at this point. So again, unless I'll get a couple more, kind of like I did with the Romance on the Path to Hell, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. Or I got like 3 issues before I said, I'm done. I'm done. And I'll probably do the same here. So wrap it up. Mine Arcana, I don't know, because I don't know what the story is. Same thing here. I have no idea. Let's see what happens. Again, there's only 4 issues here. I'm not really committing to much with this one, but I like Solomon Kane, and I think that some of the other characters look interesting. And then Rook Exodus, yeah, this is going to make a great movie as far as I'm concerned, as soon as we, because we're going to have an epic battle in here also, which is going to be great. All right, well, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And if you can, remember to give me a thumbs up, give me a like on this video. And if you want to comment and tell me what you're collecting, or if you're not collecting anything at all, you just want to see, what's possible to come out on the movie screen or the television screen in the future, because that's where a lot of the studios are looking right now. They're looking at comics. And the comic companies know it. That's why a lot of companies just create stuff they know is going to lose money, but they create it to have it out there. And also remember that in the link in the description below, you can sign up for Mythlord's Classic Monsters card game, where you can play as the classic monsters and you recruit your army, including the Bride of Frankenstein, the Mummy, Mr. Hyde, the Horseman, and all of the rest. And you're fighting over locations like the Mummy's Tomb and the Ghost Ship and things to that effect. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, even if you don't like the game, which you're going to like the game, even if you don't, the artwork is phenomenal. So definitely check out the link in the description below and sign up to get notification. Check out some of my other videos on your way out, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. All right, bye.